about that. If you didn't hear that, this is 99.5 WCYJ FM 99.5 The Hive. We appreciate everyone's patience. We apologize for our late coming on. We've had a little bit of some radio difficulty recently, technology-wise, so we appreciate everybody's patience with everything. Everyone here at Waynesburg is currently working on it to get it fixed and get it back up and running as usual. Nonetheless, this is Sports with Sparky. Yep, 3 o'clock on the dot. Not gonna lie, I can pat myself on the back for that one. Everybody's favorite sports talk show on a Friday from 3 to 5. If you follow me on social media, you should. It's at SpazarskiEthan for Twitter. That's the main thing where you should follow me for all my sports content. Or if you want to follow the Sports with Sparky Instagram page, which just started, Sports with Sparky, no spaces as well on that. You will know what today's schedule is, and if not, I'll tell it for you anyway. I'm a great guy, what can I say? Yeah. So I am joined by none other than the Mr. Wil Wilson, who will talk to us about other shows he does here as well in a couple of moments. But first hour, all hockey talk. Playoff push talk's important. Penguins lost yesterday on their second half of back-to-back with the Dallas Stars. Things have become a little bit more clear in the West, but they've also heated up in both wild cards. We're going to talk about that. Playoff push overall. And then in the second hour, if you love March Madness, make sure to tune in. I'm going to have two guys join me. Logan Lepiscopo and Tyler Zeman are going to be coming on. We're going to be talking about everything that's happened in March Madness so far, the games on today, the games that were yesterday, and our Final Four predictions. So, again, this is Sports with Sparky. I'm your host, Ethan Spazarski. Long-winded speech. Thank you for listening. Wil Wilson, how are you as always?
I'm not muted, or I am muted right now.
Okay, Wil Wilson, how are you today?
I am doing fine. How are you, Sparky?
You know what? I was good. Then the pause button wasn't working, and I left you muted for a minute. So I'm getting back into it, but I'm doing pretty good overall today. I'm excited. I'm going home later. After Sports with Sparky's done, I'm going back to the dorm. We're going to pack up, go home for the weekend, see some family, come back up. So I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
Can't complain, but you know what else I can't complain about is this NHL hockey stuff that we have prepared today.
Yeah.
And in general, Will, I will let you take it away because you were really good at just taking it away with the hockey monologues.
Oh, all right. Yeah, so NHL playoff push. A lot of teams are coming down to the final 10 games of the season. We see the Tampa Bay Lightning have 9 games left to play. Boston Bruins have 11. The Pittsburgh Penguins have 10. So there's a lot of teams that are, they're not even have double-digit games left. They're coming down to the wire here. The playoff push is one of my favorite things in the NHL because we always see the standing shift, especially in the wild card spot. Teams will start making a push and other teams will start falling. We're honestly seeing that here in the East and the West, something that I really love to see. I love that both conferences are having shifting in the standings in terms of the wild card spot. More so in the Western Conference than the Eastern Conference. Sparky, we've talked about this in the Eastern Conference. The top 6, or the top 3, I should say, in each division, in the Atlantic and the Metropolitan, both have been basically set. It's just whether or not which position they will be. More so the Metropolitan than the Atlantic. We know the Bruins will be number 1. Maple Leafs and Lightning will probably fight for number 2. Looking like Maple Leafs will be the number 2 again. And as for the Metropolitan, the Hurricanes are going to be number 1. And the Devils and Rangers will probably be... Rangers will be 3. The Devils will most likely be 2. They definitely could become 1. But the wild card spot, and this has been something we've been watching since December, in all honesty. The Islanders and Penguins are in the wild card spot right now. They are both tied in terms of games played. They each have 10 games left. The Islanders have 2 points ahead of the Penguins and have also beaten them 4 times this year. They swept them across the board this year. And the Penguins have 80 points. The Florida Panthers have also played 72 games. They're 1 point behind the Pittsburgh Penguins. And they are tied with the Penguins. They've each won a game against each other. Last night was a critical game for the Penguins to just force into overtime, which is what they couldn't do it. They got a 1-0 lead at the start. Dallas tied it. I think the Penguins took the lead back again. Unfortunately, the Penguins let up once again, losing 3-2, not forcing into overtime, which is something we talked about on my show yesterday. And it was that if the Penguins lose, they got to lose in overtime to at least get 1 more point so they could be 2 points ahead of the Panthers. And Penguins are slowly, they've been up and down, and it's just kind of hard to predict if they're going to really make it.
So, a few things off your monologue. First of all, the Islanders Penguins have played 4 times. 3 of those times, the games went to overtime. All of which, again, New York won. Tristan Jarry is out indefinitely with a lower body injury.
Which is weird because he played through that entire Anaheim game.
It was awkward. It was announced late yesterday that they brought up Dustin Tokarski and another player up from Wilkes-Barre Scranton on an emergency basis. They let everybody know yesterday about 3-4 hours before the game. And then the Penguins. So the Penguins and the Stars, 2 teams I highly admire. Watch this game. You see how it goes. Penguins, for the first part of it, the Stars would get to the blue line, and the Penguins 4 times in the first period intercepted passes and went away on odd man rushes, and they just weren't able to capitalize on it. Roope Hintz opened up the scoring for Dallas. He was able to beat Smith through a 5-hole. Smith was distraught after that one because he's like, I know I could have stopped that. Shouldn't have happened. Penguins played. It's not like they didn't play. They couldn't get the shots in the net because Jacob Ottinger has literally become a top goaltender in the league in just his second year of being in the NHL. So, I mean, that is a big factor to it. Luckily, the Panthers did lose, so the Penguins are still 1 point ahead. Panthers lost yesterday playing. The Islanders play tonight. They play the Blue Jackets. Now, if there's a tie, there's no way there's no way the Penguins can win because they're tiebreakers. They've lost all 4.
Yeah.
Islanders at one point were like 3 or 4 games ahead of both Florida and Pittsburgh, and now that the games are caught up, the Penguins had a chance to take away this, and they only got 2 points.
Yeah, and a lot of people are actually mad that Jarry's injured now. They're like, oh, Casey DeSmith is coming in. I'd like to point out, Tristan Jarry is 7-7-3 in his last 20 games with a GAA, goals against average, of a 3.39 and a save percentage of a .891. Casey DeSmith is 8-7-2 with a goals against average of a 3.22 and a save percentage of a .905. So honestly, Casey DeSmith has been the better goalie in net the past couple of months compared to Jarry. And Jarry has not been the legit starter. They've been flipping Casey DeSmith and Tristan Jarry, and part of that is because there's a lot of back-to-backs, but also it was deciding, like, okay, is Jarry or Casey DeSmith, which one is going to lead us into the playoffs for this team? So right now, Casey DeSmith is doing fine. That one goal that he let in, the first one, Dallas scored on, was his fault. Like, that's one goal that he needs to save. But other than that, I think he played really well. I just think Pittsburgh defensively needs to figure it out. They need to stop letting these 2-on-1s, these 2-on-0s. They need to learn how to keep a lead for once in their life. And right now, both goalies are suffering from it, and I think mentally they're also getting a little psyched out about it because, their stats aren't amazing. They're not putting up numbers that they want to be doing, and, the whole team as a whole is not doing well, overall, minus Crosby, who kind of went back to prime Sidney Crosby in the past couple of games.
Voted via other NHL players the most consistent NHL player in the NHL, obviously. The only player in NHL history to ever record 30 goals at the age of 18 years old and 35 years old. Again, at least 30 goals as an 18-year-old and at least 30 goals as a 35-year-old. For the fact that it says only person ever to do that, again, puts him back up in one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, and just to put that into perspective, Steve Yzerman did the same thing, except he was 34 years old. So 1 year off, but still kind of wild. When you're in talks with people like Steve Yzerman, Crosby has been in talks with Steve Yzerman for a while now, but that just adds to something to his, resume as a hockey player.
Yeah, no, it does. And if we want to look from a Dallas perspective, a much-needed 2 points, especially after the Minnesota Wild, while they did lose in overtime, lost in a shootout, they did get a point. And these 2 were tied, so Minnesota was up 1. Now Dallas is up 1 point in the Central standings. Very tight race there between Minnesota and Dallas. Colorado's working their way back up. It's a very rough start in the first half, definitely for Colorado. After the All-Star break, things did start to... That's where we start to see an increase of
Nathan
things.
Nathan McKinnon has, I think, 36 points in 34 games.
So, he's popping off.
Yes.
Injuries they haven't been as injured.
Yeah, the team has been coming back. Cale Makar hasn't been perfect. He comes off these past 2 amazing years, and he comes off this Conn Smythe winner, Norris Trophy winner last year. He's been doing all right. He's typically, they were talking that he was the next Bobby Orr, but now, like, for some reason he is not in talks for the Norris at all this year, which is wild. And I am a Lightning fan. I'm just gonna put this as like a comparison. Like, Victor Hedman has been nominated to be in the Norris for the past 5 years. Cale Makar has been only 2, and he's not even being talked about right now. So Cale Makar has not been as consistent as he should be. He also did deal with a couple concussions the past couple of weeks. He did score a couple goals that, seemed like it boosted his confidence. The Avalanche will be picking up. I'm not worried about them as much going into the playoffs. They're in a pretty good spot. They could actually get the 2nd seed if they really want to. The Wild are at 91 points with 72 games played. Avalanche are at 88 points with 70 games played. So the Avalanche, they just need to win the next 2 games, and they'll be in that second seeded position in the Central. They could very well even catch up to the Stars if they win both of those games, because they would also be at 92 points. But like you said, last night was a crucial game for the Stars in terms of just keeping home ice advantage. They are better away. They're 21-10-5, but at home they're 18-9-9, which is all right. I mean, when you look at it, they've lost only 9 regular season, regular season losses there. They've forced 9 others to go into overtime, which I see as not so much a loss or not. It's not a loss or a win. I mean, it technically is a loss, but at least it's like you did push it to overtime. So, you still have some fight left in you at least.
Technically, and their most recent loss at home came to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Again, they played Colorado first, then they played Dallas. They beat Colorado 5-2, you lose to Dallas 3-2. So, to me, the Penguins have scored 7 goals in the last 2 games. I think after they snapped the 4-game lose streak, but they did start a new streak, they have 1 loss. So, Penguins and Dallas both have been not their best as of late. That goes for both teams as of right now. Hot teams, however, Carolina secures the playoff
Clinched
spot.
a playoff spot last night. And that is huge for them because this gives them time to just heal their players. Snetchikov and Pacioretty are both out indefinitely. Pacioretty is rumored to come back in the playoffs, but it would be like they'd have to make the Cup final for him to come back.
And even if you make the Cup final,
he's not going to be Pacioretty. He's going to be he's going to be 50%, not even that.
And it's going to be the amount of time you have from end of Cup final to off season to begin of preseason so small.
Yeah, so with Pacioretty, like, he may very well just move on as well, but for the Hurricanes, this is huge. They clinched it. They can now, if they don't care about home ice advantage and getting the 1 seed, then they can just rest their good players. Rest Burns, rest Sebastian Aho, put in like a 3rd-string goalie, honestly, or maybe your backup goalie more often. Some people, I know a lot of people probably disagree with that because they're like, oh no, they got to keep this momentum. Yes and no, because I feel like with the Hurricanes, they're in the playoffs, and if you're a Hurricanes fan and you're afraid to face this certain team, you're probably inevitably going to have to face them. Like, if they're afraid to play the Rangers, there's a 50% chance they will have to face the Rangers. But if they're afraid of the Rangers and the Rangers lose to the Devils and then they have to play the Devils, they're probably going to be afraid of the Devils. So, for me, like the Hurricanes, you clinched the playoff spot. Now just heal your players, rest them up, make sure that none of them get injured, because that is injuries in the playoffs plague teams so many times. We saw that with the Avalanche in 2020. We saw it with the Lightning in 2022 last year. We've seen it with, I think Vancouver had it when they won the President's Trophy, then they lost. Injuries, health, safety, Hurricanes, they can focus on that. Kind of what Boston has been doing, they've been focusing on that as well.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Boston, without a doubt, in the best position of all teams in the East right now. Fastest team to ever record 50 wins, fastest to 100 points. Carolina definitely kind of fitting themselves in that 2 spot, especially with, I guess, even putting Carolina, the Rangers in, as we've mentioned many times before, with the slow start with Patrick Kane and Timo Meier as they transition to their new teams. We also talked about Vegas yesterday, and I want to talk about them today. The Vegas Golden Knights have put themselves in somewhat of a number one position in the West. So
huge win against the Flames last night,
Exactly.
and a huge loss for the Flames. The Flames are still trying to just make that final push. They have played 73 games. They only have 9 left and 79 points. The Jets have played the same amount and have 85 points. Last night was a huge loss for the Flames, and they lost by 1 goal again. And we talked about this on my show yesterday. Statistically, the Flames have lost like 40 of their games have gone into 1 goal decision,
and they've
more
outshot,
than half of those they've lost by 1 goal.
They've outshot most of their opponents in these games like 39-10, and they lose.
Yeah, and it's baffling. They're 16-15-4 at home, 16-11-11 away, just terrible. Their past 10 games, they're 5-3-2, and it's just, I mean, they're 32-26-15. They've had 15 overtime losses. I believe that is the most in the league right now, with the Sharks as well. So, yeah, I mean, the Flames, they're trash, but the Golden Knights, they did have a really good win last night, and Jonathan Quick is just playing like playoff Johnny right now. I mean, it's kind of wild.
Things are coming together. Jack Eichel, we're seeing the OG Jack Eichel, we're seeing OG Jonathan Quick, we're seeing William Karlsson and Marcia So really step up. Again, underrated guys on this team, in my opinion, and this is all without their captain, Mark Stone, a man who before Quick came in, I said, and I'll admit I said, this team is not good without Mark Stone. They just don't look like a complete team. That's completely not the case anymore. They're really turning around and coming into their own. And to me, right now they're finals favorites to represent the West. Not because Dallas hasn't been looking the same. Minnesota, to me, when it comes down to the close games, isn't clutch enough because of goalie depth. Colorado is getting right at the right time, so they have a good chance. Seattle is falling off. The Winnipeg Jets I kind of put in the same category as Calgary, because Connor Hellebuck is an amazing player, but to me,
Hellebuck.
No, he hasn't. And then on top of that, you also have Edmonton and the LA Kings. Kings haven't had that much success since their Stanley Cup win, back in 2013,
Kings
2014. And the Edmonton Oilers kind of haven't made it past the second or third round when they do make the playoffs in recent history.
Well, they made it to the conference final last year.
They did, but they got swept. They got swept by
and part
Colorado.
of that is because Mike Smith just was letting in crappy goals.
Mike Smith,
on top of that, McDavid got shut down immediately, and Oilers' defense was heavily inflated. Like, the only reason they beat the Flames was because Markstrom and the Flames' defense collapsed. And that's kind of what happened to the Oilers against the Avs, is that the Oilers, they collapsed as well. They're defensively, and goalie, just collapsed against them.
Goaltender for Oilers, the tandem-wise, nothing special.
No. I mean, Jack Campbell is all right. He had a couple good years in Toronto. I think Playoff-wise, yeah. Like, you look at the Columbus, I think that was Anderson was in there, but I think Campbell also played. But you really go to the Montreal series. He kept them in a lot of those games. Like, he really did. More than half of those goals that were let in were because the defense collapsed in front of him, and all of a sudden there's just odd man rushes. Now you could say, he needs to save that. Yeah, there's an argument there, but at the same time, the defense shouldn't be letting up odd man rushes or just breakaways every single time. And that happened against the Tampa Bay series as well. Campbell kept them in there, but then, the defense and offensively they could not score. The Leafs are an offensive team. They literally have the star power and the firepower to do it, and for some reason, it always comes back to their goalie not making saves. It's no, the Leafs could score 10 goals in a game if they want to.
The Leafs?
They just don't.
The Leafs goaltending is in a much better spot than it was as of late.
Yes.
With Murray and Samsonov. And Murray's had a more recent history of injuries than Samsonov has. Samsonov's has stepped up more into his own, especially that started back with the Capitals. For me, and that was cemented in the Boston series they had back this last, I'm pretty sure his last game as a Capital.
Yes.
And then he came over to Toronto, he's really stepped up in his own. I've been a fan of that, and when you get Ryan O'Reilly into the mix of things, obviously he's hurt, but when you get Ryan O'Reilly into the mix of things playing with this team's really good. He's another provider. He's not a puck hog. He's an older soul, so he knows and has the experience of what to do. So I'm a fan of that. I think it really caps off what Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner have. We've said the past 2 weeks as well, this is the best Leafs team that has an opportunity to break the curse.
This is the best Leafs team that has ever stepped foot on the ice. I'll argue with you. I'll argue with anybody on that because, one, the Leafs haven't won a cup since the expansion era, so I don't even count those. I mean, I count the original 6, but like the original 6 teams back then would not compare to what they have. The Leafs right now, like you said, goaltending-wise, they have a pretty decent goaltending tandem. I think Matt Murray is better at home and Samsonov is better away. I might have gotten this flip. So we're probably going to see that in the playoffs. We're going to see one of them getting to start at home, one of them getting to start away. And that'll be actually kind of cool to see. I mean, they're 25-7-5 home, and they're 18-12-4 away. I mean, they're pretty good at home, and they're set up to, at least have home ice advantage. That's going to definitely help them. But, yeah, going back to Vegas, with Jonathan Quick, how you were saying that this team was not complete with Mark Stone, I agreed with that, and I feel like they still aren't complete. Like, Mark Stone is still a huge piece on that team. I feel like Jonathan Quick had a chip on his shoulder, and he brought out the best in Jack Eichel, William Karlsson, and Marshall Sell. Like, I believe, like, him coming there, he's like, I've been with this Kings organization forever. I got 2 cups with them. Like, I get it. It was the way it went down, and I think he was mad, and he started just playing better. And I mean, yeah, Golden Knights are better defensively, but I feel like Jonathan Quick has something to prove, and I think he wants another cup. He wants one more.
Being shipped off to Ohio is never a good thing. And the rumor has it he never even stepped foot in Ohio with the day and a half, 3 days, somewhere in that range, that he was a Blue Jacket.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to be there. They sent him there. I think he knew that he was going to be shipped off again somewhere else, and this time to a team that could give him that opportunity to get to Vegas. So, but it's all for the best. 93% save percentage, 5-0-1, right?
I think he's 5-0-1.
5-0-1. That's very good stats.
He's 5-1-0. I forget because they're the last 10. They're 8-2-0. But I do know for him, he started off like 3-0 with the team with like 2 shutouts.
Yeah.
Which is wild, I really hope second round the Golden Knights and Kings play each other, and I hope that the Golden Knights win, and I think they would. But I hope Jonathan Quick just buries his old team, not so much just anything against the Kings, more so against that organization, like the up top, and just how they dealt with that, like what they did. That was uncalled for, especially with someone like Quick who gave everything to that organization and stuck with them.
Exactly, and it stinks to say because technically we can't say like we know what it's like in there to like the feeling and everything because we're not on professional sports teams. We haven't been traded, and at the end of the day, the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, they're businesses. They're entertainment companies, but they are businesses. So you got to do what's best for business. So, but there's obviously more general ways to handle things. So, whether they want to handle it right or not, that's up to them. But, it's definitely not a player thing considering they cried together on their fly home from the game after they found out Quick had been traded.
Yeah, over a phone call.
They cried together, they talked together. You could tell that Jonathan Quick just had a bond with the team, whether you were there in 2014 or not, because most of the guys from 2014 are no longer there anymore, unlike Andre Kopitar and Max Doughty. Or Drew, why did I say Max? I'm sorry. Drew Doughty. Nonetheless, those guys were there, but pretty much everybody else has been stepped away. So, credit to that, and I'm just excited for playoffs. We're less than a month away from the NHL playoffs. Things are pretty much cemented. So, another recap. So, the top 3 in pretty much each division are pretty much set.
Set in terms of staying there. So, let's go through it. So, the Atlantic is I think, set. The Bruins will be the number 1. Maple Leafs will be number 2. The Lightning will be number 3. For the Metropolitan, the Hurricanes are number 1, playing 70 games and have 100 points. The Devils have played 71 games and have 98 points. Huge win for the Hurricanes last night. I don't know if the Devils played last night.
I'll double check.
If they did and lost, huge loss for them. But
I want to say they played tonight.
That could definitely change.
They played the Sabres tonight.
Okay, so the Devils could definitely be the number 1 seed and get into that position. The Rangers are in third with 72 games played and 94 points. They actually, if they win out, basically, if they go like 8-0-2 or 8-2-0, they definitely could catch up to the Devils. It just depends. Like realistically, the Rangers, Devils, Hurricanes can all somehow shift, and that can be said for the Lightning and Leafs. It's just the Lightning have been playing terrible. The Leafs have been doing all right enough to just keep getting points. But the Rangers and Devils will probably be 2 and 3 respectively. Devils 2, Rangers 3. And then as for the Western Conference, in the Central, we have the Stars, who had a huge win last night. They played 72 games and 92 points. The Wild have played 72 games and have 91 points. And then the Avalanche have played 70 games and 88 points. The Avalanche win the next 2 games. They will be tied with the Stars ahead of the Wild. And honestly, that 1 seed, that home ice advantage for 2 rounds at least would be within 1 point, between each other. As for the Pacific, the Golden Knights have played 72 games with 96 points. They're probably going to stay in the number 1 spot. The Kings and Oilers, Kings have played 71 games and have 92 points. Oilers have played 72 and have 90 points. That could definitely flip-flop. And then we could even throw in the Kraken. They played 71 games. They have 86 points. They definitely can get that number 3 seed again instead of being in a wild card spot position. But yeah, this is looking really, really good here. I think the East is set in terms of the top 6. The West is mostly set in the top 6. I said the only team that could definitely the Kraken could definitely go into the Oilers. They could. Oh my gosh, I cannot speak right now. The Oilers could fall out of the 3rd seed in the Pacific, and the Kraken can get that 3rd seed, and the Oilers would be in the wild card spot. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's we were kind of talking about this a couple months ago, not even a month ago. It was the West was just in shambles. We did not know what the heck was happening. And then in the East, we're these are the teams that are going to probably, win or whatever, stay in that position. But now the West is basically cemented, and that's all I have right now. It's gonna be fun. These last 10 games, the next 2 weeks is gonna be amazing. So yeah.
Thank you, Wil Wilson. I now have I'm going to make sure I get that graphic in there for the points as well. I know throwing a bunch of numbers at you when you don't have anything in front of you can be a little confusing about it. I'm gonna kind of go on a rant real quick, and then you can follow up with the rant yourself.
Yeah.
Just kind of going down each team. All right, starting with the Metropolitan Division. Carolina, New Jersey, and the Rangers. New Jersey and Rangers I'm going to put in the same boat because, to me, both these teams at the right time have shown that they can battle to get themselves to at least the Eastern Conference Final. I think these 2 teams have exceptional talent. I think the Rangers probably have the most talent and excitement, and that partly has to do with where they play at home, which is Madison Square Garden. MSG. So, for the Carolina Hurricanes, I have not bought into the fact that they make it past the 2nd round yet. I like to think they do. You're down 2. For Svechnikov, mainly because he's played with this team a lot. He's played with them more because Pacioretty's been hurt, but it's going to affect them heavily. To me, I don't see Carolina make it past the 2nd round. I would be more likely to expect the Rangers to do it first. Nothing against the Devils. I just see the Rangers in Boston in the Eastern Conference Final, which I'm going to allude to in a minute. Atlantic-wise, it is Boston all the way to me. Yeah, they've shown signs of giving up and not looking like themselves recently, but they're going to be fine. They're going to adjust. Linus Ullmark has looked exceptional all year. He's going to win. He's going to win the best goaltender of the year, essentially.
Oh, if he doesn't, it's rigged.
It's 100% rigged. As much as Vazzy and Shesterkin have been the talk of the past 2 years, Ullmark gets this one, no question. Toronto, Tampa. If Toronto makes it past the 1st round, I don't think they're going to know what to do. They have the talent and player stuff to do it.
They'll throw a parade. That's what
they're going to stop and be like, all right, hold on, guys. We got to throw a parade. No. I don't think Toronto's going to know what to do. But I do know there's going to be a huge weight off their backs and shoulders. They're going to feel better about themselves, and I think the team will look better overall, despite probably having to get rid of a few pieces next year for cap space. Lightning, you know what? They're the most experienced team in the East right now when coming into this factor because they've made it all. They've made it to the final the last 3 years and they won 2 of them. That's still 66%. So Lightning are in a great spot. They have the best overall goaltender in the world as of the past recent era. Victor Hedman. If you have Braden Point, this team's definitely in consideration for winning every single game, in my opinion. Stamkos is a great leader of this team. John Cooper is really good at working with this team. They're
Best coach in the league.
good. Okay, buddy. Good chemistry. That's a separate conversation. So wild card wise, could be damage done, but won't be too much. Islanders nor Penguins will make it past the second round.
I will say this: if the Penguins play the Hurricanes, I'm taking the Penguins in that series. I know that's a hot take.
No, I am
but the
too.
Hurricanes, after losing Shestakov and now Pacioretty as well, they've lost 2 of their big stars, and goaltending wise is all right. But it's kind of like the Penguins, where like I feel like both. It's basically even. If the Penguins can play the way that they can play, they can beat the Hurricanes. I think the Islanders could beat the Hurricanes as well in the first round. The Islanders play that stupid trap defense thing that scheme that has been happening the past 4 or 5 years. And the only team to actually beat them in the playoffs for that were the Lightning, and Islanders themselves have beaten the Hurricanes twice in the playoffs doing that trap scheme.
Yeah.
So I think the Hurricanes, even though they're the 1 seed, they're definitely in a like you said. I don't think I see them making it past.
No, I'll be real with you. It's gonna go to 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
Not just being that, and for most series, that's gonna be the situation. I feel with these close teams, especially with the talent, how everyone's becoming in like talent wise nowadays. But no, Pens and 6 is not a bad take. However, it will be very close. It will be very close. There's another topic I do want to get to with the last 20 minutes because it is something near and dear to your heart, and it's definitely worth mentioning as well. So I'm going to wrap up my spiel real quick. West-wise, to me, going a little quicker, Minnesota, honestly, to me, looks like the best team in that central area right now. Stars need to pick up. They still are in better position. If the Stars were to play the Wild, it'd be close. I would take the Stars, but Minnesota right now is in that better spot, so momentum-wise. Colorado's not going to win back-to-back Stanley Cup championships. That's just the facts.
Yep. No, they don't have enough.
But nonetheless, the winner of the representative of the West will be the Kings. No question in my mind. The Knights. Thank you for correcting me. Kings, Oilers won't make it past the second round either. You know what I like? Kings will make it past the second round. Oilers can make it to the conference final.
Well,
is possibility.
If the Kings make it past the second round.
Because now Seattle and Winnipeg, you throw them into that conversation. Seattle isn't winning more than 1 series, and the Jets are definitely
the
not winning
Kings
more
can't
than 1
make
series.
it past the second round if you have the Golden Knights winning.
Well, exactly, but it goes to prove my point. The Kings aren't good enough to get past.
Yeah, but you said actually they could make it past.
They could, but they won't.
Okay.
They could, but they won't.
Okay.
I don't know how the bracket's going to lay out, but
it would be Kings, Oilers, Knights, and then Jets on one side. Stars, Wild, Avalanche, Kraken on the other.
There's certain teams I just look at and I'm like, they're not going to make it past the second round. Like, I'm looking like that.
Yeah, I mean, like the Jets not making it past the second round. Avalanche, no. I think it's gonna be Golden Knights and Wild or Golden Knights and Stars, depending on how it goes. But yeah, just kind of to hit off some points with you. I think the Rangers Boston is like, I think a safe bet. I'm not gonna count out the Lightning, not because I'm a fan of them, but because they've always just done this where they look mediocre going into the playoffs.
No,
and
that's legit coming from a neutral fan.
Yeah. The Devils and Rangers, I love the Rangers too. I think that they are a good team, but the problem is they start out slow in the playoffs. They did that last year. They should have lost to the Penguins last year had it not been for Jari getting injured and Crosby getting injured. We'll see what happens here. The Devils are a very young team. The Devils actually remind me of what the Rangers were last year. So this is going to be a very even series, and I think the Rangers have the better, more experience, but the Devils, I feel, are the better team. I know that's weird to say, considering that the Rangers have Tarasenko, Breadman, Panarin, aka Breadman, and then Patrick Kane. And you can also throw Mika Zibanejad in there and Igor Shesterkin, the second.
What about Kreider?
He's good, but I'm talking about like star power. Like the Devils, they have Jack.
What about Kreider?
Jack Hughes on the Devils. They have Andre Palat, who was underrated on the Lightning and is cup experience for them as well. So we'll see. I think the Rangers on paper are statistically better, but I think overall the Devils.
3, 2, you're already recording. 1. Hello, beautiful people. I hope you guys enjoyed your little music break because we are back. We are here. We are ready to get started. Two gentlemen I enjoy doing my TV and radio work with. Two men I'm usually on with, always talking sports with them, especially this one clown in the corner. His name is Logan Lepiscopo and Tyler Zeman. Now join sport with Sparky. Gentlemen, how are you? I muted you so you can't talk, unlike poor Wil Wilson where I muted him.
Wow.
I know.
How long?
It was like for 5 seconds.
Okay. At least it wasn't like that one time when I was on and you had yourself muted for like 2 minutes.
It was pretty funny because Whitney's actually the one that texted and told us that I was muted. And if it weren't for her,
know how to host the show.
if it weren't for her, I would have been muted the entire last Sports with Sparky. Unfortunately, it wasn't recorded because we had some camera conflict with some work we had to do that Friday. But
Yeah.
we're here, we're back, we're strapped, we're ready to go. So gentlemen, March Madness is madness. I think we can say the least. We've spent many an hour, many of times watching pretty much all these games. At least we've definitely tuned into every game. Not every second of every game, but we have tuned into pretty much every game. We'll start with the round one, first round. It was I believe it was Saturday, Sunday, or was it Friday, Saturday?
It was Thursday.
Thursday.
It was a
Was the
Thursday.
first.
It was a Thursday, Friday.
The second round. Was
All of
Saturday.
these games. So let's talk about Thursday, Friday games first. Of all those first round games, we started with Maryland, West Virginia. We have a Maryland boy in the house.
Yeah, go Terrapins. You know, they got stomped by Bama in the next round, but they made out the first round. And I had Maryland on my bracket. I changed it the morning before the game. I think you two clowns at West Virginia. So.
No, I had Maryland as well.
I took West Virginia.
So we just had one clown. One clown in the room. But then we moved on and we had the Furman, Virginia game on as well, which was the second game that
I
started.
had that upset.
Let's go.
You two
bro.
did. I was the clown in this
Furman.
situation because for majority of this game, Virginia had it, but being the Virginia team that they are in the program they are, losing to a double-digit seed 2 last 4 years, they did lose, as if that wasn't enough. So that kind of just shows you what we've been doing. So quick rundown. I'll have all the brackets. I made bracket graphics, so we'll be able to see it while we run this down.
Wow.
I know. All right. Bama beat Texas A&M CC. Maryland beat West Virginia. San Diego State beat College of Charleston. Furman beat Virginia. Creighton beat NC State. Baylor beat USCB. Missouri beat Utah State, although we pretty much all had an upset of Utah State.
Yeah.
Princeton shocked the world by beating Arizona.
Shout out Nick Staso and Micah Leith for
Yeah,
making that
They
upset.
did. Nick Stacy was perfect for almost the entire first day of March Madness. The biggest surprise, which I'll say lightly because we expected Purdue to lose. Didn't expect Purdue to lose the first round to FDU. So FDU beats Purdue. FAU, who is still in the tournament
I
as a
want
9
to
seed.
say something about FAU for a second.
Go ahead, talk about the Owls.
So, going into the bracket, I was making my bracket. I picked FAU to upset Memphis originally. I was talked out of it though because my roommate Spencer Terry was talking about how good Memphis was this year, and everybody else was talking about, oh, Memphis is easily beating FAU. They're going to be a team to upset Purdue. I was like, all right, let me just hop on the bandwagon. I should have conducted the train myself.
You should have, bro. You should
Should've
have got on the train, and then whenever it happened, like it did happen, then you could have. You were the conductor. You would have been leading that train.
Too bad your train fell off.
FAU beat Memphis by 1, but FAU still wins. Duke destroyed Oral Roberts from the start. Tennessee beat Louisiana. Kentucky dominated Providence. Kansas State owned Montana.
You got it.
Montana, there we go, State. Michigan State and Izzo and company defeated USC, and Marquette beat Vermont. That's the entire left side of the bracket, which is your South and East regions. If we go to the right side of the bracket, top right corner, Houston beat Northern Kentucky. Iowa barely, I lied. Auburn beat Iowa, but it was more of an end game situation. Florida beat Drake with a very close game. Indiana beat Kent State. Hail to it! Beat Iowa State. Felt pretty good for a whole 2 days. Xavier beat Kent Shaw State, barely. Texas A&M lost to Penn State. Penn State wins. Texas destroyed Colgate. Kansas beat Howard. Arkansas beat Illinois. St. Mary's beat VCU. UConn defeated Iona. And now the FDU coach, as just in case you weren't aware, has officially become the new Iona head coach.
Woo!
I forget his name.
It's just gonna be the same thing.
Tobin Anderson.
Tobin Anderson. Thank you. I've always, you know what? That's a little embarrassing because I knew his name coming in, and I just.
Well, Rick Pitino, who was the head coach, he moved, which opened up the seat at Iona. He moved to St. John's. Which is interesting because if you look at a map, it's pretty much just a triangle of like where they all moved to. Like Tobin Anderson moved pretty much across the river to Iona. Pitino went south to St. John's. It's interesting to see how close those three schools are. Just shows like New York City is turning into a basketball city, at least for me.
So, getting back onto it again, UConn did beat Iona. They are under new leadership. We do like Tobin Anderson. TCU narrowly defeated Arizona State. I watched the final minute of this game. I was actually, I was busy at the time. I was watching a movie with somebody, and I pulled it up on my phone, and I watched last minute. Great choice of mine. Zaga beat Grand Canyon. Northwestern beat Boise, and UCLA dominated UNC Asheville. Tyler Zeman.
33 points.
We move on.
I just want everybody to
move
know.
on.
No,
I can attest to what he's about to
I
say.
have to embarrass you.
Oh
I
my
have
God.
to.
I can attest.
All this
is
man
true.
Tyler Zeman was talking about is getting on his little train and conducting it, talking about how UNC Asheville was gonna beat UCLA.
I
don't
remember
know
That game
that
was
day.
over in the first 5 minutes.
That day was insane.
When
The
it was
first day.
14-0 at the start of the game,
Yeah, it was over.
you just knew.
Yeah.
You knew Tyler Zeman's train was just gonna go right off the railway, and UCLA was gonna run away with it.
Yeah.
Now UCLA, we'll talk a little bit more about them in a little bit once we get further into the bracket, but not a wise decision by you.
Look,
Nope.
here's the deal. Everybody picked their ones and their twos. All right, everybody picked their ones and their twos. I had the courage, Sparky,
The
to
courage.
go out there and pick the 15 seed. All right, and look, it wasn't even just something I was walking around saying like, all right, yeah, UNC has. In all of my brackets that were for money, like in any of the groups that I joined or whatever, in all those brackets I picked UNC Asheville. So I believed in that. And it didn't work out well. But look, we're bouncing back in the second half of the tournament. The brackets are looking nice.
Alrighty, buddy. We'll stick with that. Alright, so staying on the just to keep it clean for editing wise, staying on the right side. Houston defeated. They then played Auburn. They defeated Auburn, which was a very close game. Auburn led for a good portion of it. Houston won 81-64. Just to clarify that. Miami dominated Indiana with a technical upset, even though it was a 5 and a 4 seed. Pitt got just blown out by Xavier.
I hate.
Besides first 5 minutes, it was pretty much a Xavier show. Texas beat Penn State. It was narrow. It was a close game. Continuing on to the next section in our on the right side, Arkansas upset Kansas 72-71. That honestly, in my opinion, is the second biggest upset on this bracket.
Arguably.
St. Mary's lost to UConn, the University of Connecticut.
Go Huskies.
Go Huskies. Zags outrooted the Horned Frogs to move on. And then Northwestern lost to UCLA. UCLA continued on to the next round. Bottom left corner. Moving on, Michigan State beat Marquette. Kansas State beat Kentucky. Tennessee upset, it's not upset, but I guess in a sense it was an upset. Upset Duke. FAU beat FDU. Princeton beat Mizzou. 15 seeds still staying alive. Creighton beat Baylor. San Diego State beat Furman. We actually watched that game. And then Bama owned the Terrapins as well.
Old time.
So now we moved on to the Sweet 16, which 4 games happened yesterday. 4 are happening today. The 4 that happened yesterday, we'll talk about now. In the bottom left-hand corner, FAU took on Tennessee, and upset alert, FAU defeated Tennessee. The 9 seed beat a 4 seed, 62-55. Kansas State and Michigan State were in an absolute battle to the very end in overtime, 98-93 win for Kansas State Wildcats. And then also UConn owned Arkansas and defeated them. 4 seed beat the 8 seed, 88-65. Then Zags buzzer beater, essentially, to beat UCLA, win 79-76. So, our Elite 8 picture for the bottom right and left-hand corner looks as such. FAU is going to take on Kansas State. UConn takes on Zaga. Gentlemen, I want to let you guys just start talking now because I was going over my summary. Talk to me about these games we saw yesterday.
Well, I think the game of the tournament happened yesterday in regards to Kansas State and Michigan State. I mean, that was a crazy game. Records were literally broken. You wanted to see offense. You got offense. I mean, almost 200 points put up on the board, which is just absolutely insane. And to be fair to Michigan State, I didn't think they were going to do as much as they did in the tournament. I thought they were going to beat USC and then get bounced by Marquette, but they put up a fight, and then they put up a fight to Kansas State, who, is just honestly shocking the world. I know they're a 3 seed, but I mean, that's a little bit inflated for me. This team was picked to finish dead last in the Big 12, one of the toughest basketball conferences in the nation.
Big 12.
And they're still dancing. They're in the Elite 8 as a 3 seed, and honestly, they were in a great position right now to go on and win the east part of the bracket.
Yeah, you gotta talk about Noel also. The game, he had 20
Jesus.
points, 19 assists.
He literally
It was a record.
he got essentially carried off the court at one point with a hurt ankle.
Yeah, so that's something also to mention about like how severe that might be. Obviously, he continued to play on it for probably I think like 10 minutes, maybe less than that. But
He did not sit down much.
he played on that hurt ankle, so I doubt he's gonna get kept out of this FAU game. He's gonna do anything possible. Trainers will do anything possible to keep him in. The FAU game. This one just makes me mad because I knew I should have stuck with my gut and just went ahead and picked FAU to. Obviously, I don't think I would have had them going this far, especially not being Tennessee.
Yeah, it was something underlined that I felt because I said I had Duke going to the Final Four, and I obviously had Duke play Tennessee, and I said to myself, Tennessee has been notorious for not holding a lead. Tennessee's been notorious for not playing a whole game of basketball, a whole 40 minutes. And they did it against Duke. They out-routed Duke. They beat the hot Filipowski. I said to myself, well, Tennessee's not playing FAU. FAU had a close battle with FDU. And I was like, you know what? Part of me feels FAU's going to upset the world, but let's be real. Tennessee's proven me wrong. I can't go against them. Well, I should have stuck with my Owls because they hoo-hoo-hooed all over these volunteers. So, it's just like, dang. Because FAU is really putting on a show. Funny story, now that...
I better laugh at this.
Well, so, here's the thing. If San Diego State and Miami, Florida, with the only 2 5 seeds left, if they both lose... the record of no 5 seed ever winning a March Madness tournament will remain active.
That wasn't funny.
I lied.
Can you believe this guy? Talks about being a comedian and doesn't even tell me a joke.
So
ridiculous.
You should have started off by saying fact and then
Fun
proceeded.
fact.
Yeah.
Fun fact. I actually did say it on air before.
That's okay.
So San Diego State, Miami, Florida. Now, gentlemen, I ask you, of the 2 teams, in which I know my answer, but of the 2 5 seeds, who is most likely right now in the best position to break this record?
3, 2, 1.
San Diego State.
Whoa.
All right, I have Miami.
Let's hear why you think you're right.
I'll take. I said San Diego State because of this. When you look at Bama, yes, they have the best player in college basketball right now, arguably. All right. Alabama as a team, probably the most complete team. But in terms of like offensive production in the first 2 games, they haven't really been like star like.
Bama scored 96 in the first round, 73 in the second.
But they also played Texas A&M CC. I mean, like you would.
Yeah, and guess what?
97
After you played Purdue.
Hold on. I want to say this because I want to make sure I get it right. I want to look this up real quick.
All right, so to Miami. Here's why Miami's going. Houston simply just has not played good basketball, and Miami has been on both sides. If you look at the comparison, the numbers they've scored in games are very similar, and even defensively they're pretty similar. I think Miami slightly scored more and slightly allowed more as well. So Houston's still playing better defense, and they're known as a defensive team. So that's why a lot of people like them. A lot of people have picked them to win. Even my bracket's still alive, and I have Houston winning it all. But realistically, I think Miami's played great basketball, especially the wins that they've been able to secure. I think that who they've been playing.
That confidence is up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And March Madness is all about that. It's all about who wants it more, who's got the confidence, who's kind of like rolling with the steam, whose train is going the fastest. If we want to keep on the conductor talk that we had earlier. Shout out the Boilers who got knocked out by FDU. I just think Miami's been playing its best basketball, especially like in these 2 games in the tournament so far. So I'll let Tyler go into spiel now that he's pulled up what he needs.
Okay, so the reason for this is because I'll start with San Diego State.
All right.
San Diego State is a very good defensive team, and they have showed it. I mean, they've only let up 57 against the College of Charleston, only 52 against Furman. Take it, it's a 12 and a 13 seed, so you would expect San Diego State to put up defensive numbers like that. The thing, though, for me with Alabama is Brandon Miller, because he's the best player in the nation right now. But in the Texas A&M CC game, 0 points. Then you look at the Maryland game. Yeah, he had 19, but this offense hasn't been the same. They had 3 guys score double digits. It was Javon Quinerly, I think I said that right, 22 points, and then they had Bediako, who had 10, and then Miller had 19. The rest of the guys didn't really show up. For me in March Madness, you need like consistent offensive scoring, and right now I don't think Alabama has. I feel like they're leaning too much on 1 or 2 guys to do it. And when you look at San Diego State, who has a very good defensive team, and Brandon Miller not playing the offense that we've seen him play throughout the regular season in March Madness now, that concerns me a lot because, like I said, a 12 and a 13 seed, yeah, if you're San Diego State, the way they've been playing, they shouldn't scare you. But if Alabama looks at the San Diego State team, I think that they should be scared of them because of how they're playing. They're playing as a team. The offense, I've loved how their offense has been. They've been very methodical. They've moved the ball, and they've gotten everybody involved. I think it maybe not in this round, but I feel like the Alabama magic and Brandon Miller is going to wear out. And I think San Diego State could potentially put it out with how good they are defensively. And that's why I think that. Because for me, Miami, it has been too overrated. I know they were the ACC regular season champs, all that kind of stuff. But for me, I always looked at Miami as they always just seemed a bit overrated for me. Yes, they could knock off Houston because for me, I haven't really liked Houston that much. That's why I didn't pick them to win at all. I've taken Texas over them. They rely too much on the 3 ball. Yeah, they're very good defensively, but for me, they live and die too much by the 3, and that worries me late in the rounds. Because if they can't pick that up, then they have nothing else to fall back on.
All right, I'll give credit. That was pretty good. That was a pretty good rant.
You didn't convince me, but
good rant.
But you did give me a glimmer of hope for San Diego State. I think this game, honestly, between Bama and San Diego State is going to be really low scoring. Because if you look at the Bama games, they haven't played the greatest competition. But like the Maryland game, and Tyler's got to pull up right now, Maryland scored 51. And then in the first round, they played Texas CC. And 75, obviously, to a 16 seed. Like, that doesn't look very good from Bama's standpoint. But allowing only 51 to Maryland, and they were like pretty back and forward, shooting really well against West Virginia. I think that this game could be like a low scoring. Maybe we see like 60s. Perhaps one team breaks into the 70s. But I'm thinking like like 68, 69 points is like gonna win a game today.
Miami is my choice. Now, my choice goes between two things. One, the mentality, momentum, and confidence of this team is exceptionally high right now. Now, I get it. The higher it is, the harder the fall. Now, granted, both teams are going up against one seeds right now. Houston's definitely more of a second half team, if anything. They sometimes lack in the first half, but they make up for that in the second half. So the second half of this game is going to be the most important half. And it usually is in most of these March Madness games. I feel like with Bama and San Diego State, it's honestly the middle portion. I feel like the first half of the first half and the second half of the second half kind of is where things fizzle out. It's going to be that middle portion, and especially with the break of halftime, where you're going to see who's really going to win this game with these two teams. But Isaiah Wong, you can't not talk about him right now. Isaiah Wong is on himself a warpath, and I'll tell you his year stats. He's played 34 games. He averages just over 33 minutes a game. He shoots about 45% from the field. He shoots 39% from the three beyond the arc. Free throw percentage 84%. He averages 4 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game, just under a block, just under 2 steals. But he also averages 16 points a game. So from 21 to then, he's had over 15 points a game for the last 3 seasons. He's a dominant force. He literally there was the Hoosiers and the Hurricanes were very close together, and then Isaiah Wong manually created that gap. I watched the game. He created the gap, and Miami, with all the other force, was able to kind of push themselves ahead. So for me, Isaiah Wong is definitely a player you can't overlook. On top of the momentum, mentality, and confidence this team has around the poise they have, you can't not talk about it. So for me, Miami honestly is the only team. Well, not the only team, but this year the only team that could break that number 5 curse.
I think what it comes down for me, when you look at Alabama and Houston, both number 1 seeds. But if you'd ask me who I'd rather face in this upcoming round, in tonight's matchup, for me it'd be Miami. Like, I feel like if I was either Alabama or Houston, I feel like both those teams just match up better than Miami. Like, I feel San Diego State is going to cause serious problems to either team.
All right.
If I'm Alabama, I'm worried about San Diego
All right.
State.
So that answers this next question should be pretty easy. Tonight's winners. We have 4 games tonight.
Oh man.
Alabama, San Diego State, Houston versus Miami, Creighton versus Princeton, Xavier versus Texas. The bottom half of the bracket played yesterday. The top half will play today. We'll go around the horn. We'll start. I'm going to start with Creighton and Princeton only because we're going to save the San Diego State one for last because of the topic the discussion we just had. Now for Princeton, I made something I want to pull up for you guys that I think will just put in perspective what Princeton's done so far through the first 2 games.
I'm still going to pick Creighton to win.
You're still going to pick Creighton?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the Princeton Magic runs out.
All right. Well, let me just show you this.
Okay, I'm looking. Okay.
So this is what we have dealing with, and it'll be pulled up on the screen.
They're shooting 42% from field goal range. They're shooting 28% from 3-point range. That's pretty bad.
No, that's terrible.
And their free throw percentage is 75% is okay, but not great. I'm not really seeing any reason to pick them. I'll be honest with you. That to me shows they don't shoot the ball well, and they've been winning because defense.
So now you kind of think of it. Creighton has scored. To me, they've scored 72, then 85. To me, the reason I have Princeton is Creighton has just been missing something these past 2 years in these games they should be winning when they get to the Sweet 16. Of recent history, they've never been able really to put it through. Kind of like the 49ers in Kyle Shanahan. When it comes down to the games that matter most, they don't emphasis on football. They don't kick the ball through the uprights. They missed that game-winning shot. It's nothing. I just think Princeton also has the momentum role right now. They are on a Cinderella high. I'm going to take Princeton, although I understand you two are not going to agree with me.
I just think the Magic runs out. I think Creighton, when you look at who they've had to play, like, as much as people have complained about NC State getting in the tournament, I mean, they're not a bad team by any means. I mean, you look at Baylor, again, one of the best teams in the Big 12, one of the hardest conferences, and they won by 9 points. Like, that's a convincing statement win for me in the second round as a 6 over the 3. And then you go, like, yeah, you can't look past Princeton. Like, Princeton, they can cause them troubles. It will probably be a close basketball game. But I feel like Creighton, they have the tools in the toolbox to, go and keep on dancing a little bit longer.
Yeah, I agree. That Miami victory. We talk about Miami so much, you're like stuck in my head right now. The victory over Baylor definitely was like a huge statement by Creighton. And yeah, I understand, like, obviously they haven't had like the powers to get past this round in previous years, but I think this year they do. That win over Baylor is huge. Now Princeton, they took down number 2 Arizona, and then they went on to beat Missouri. So there's definitely a solid argument for Princeton continuing to make this great run, and I wouldn't be mad if they did. Truthfully, we love to see a Cinderella story.
You root for upsets in March.
You always do. You always do. I also
Unless
think
they mess up your bracket.
Oh yeah, facts. I feel it's funny because, I mean, with Jeremiah and everything, with the stick to the books, it made me laugh because I was like, he's right. I was like, what the heck? And then these kids. But one of his favorite comments, he said, "Imagine being smart and athletic."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That should be illegal.
That surely should be. Go them. So all right. So for the sake of majority rules, as we continue to talk about it, we'll, as a group consensus, I get
Blue
it.
Jays.
Blue Jays. Okay. Moving over to the right side of the bottom part of these two, Xavier, Texas. If you're not picking Texas, I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah, I think Xavier's good, but Texas is honestly, they beat a good Colgate team, and then Penn State gave them fits. But like the adversity they've been through with their head coach and stuff, that's things you got to look for me in March. They've been through the adversity in the regular season. They've come out and they've shown they're legit in March Madness. Like, I feel like they can continue this run.
Kenshaw State gave them heck and kept it really close.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
For me there.
Pitt, while getting outplayed the whole time, never truly gave up. To me, Xavier pulling in Tennessee, they can't win these close games. Texas has prevailed in 2 close games. Give me the Longhorns. Horns up, baby. Horns up.
I'm going to take the Longhorns as well. Now, just looking at the numbers on here, Xavier scored more, but they've also allowed like 7 more points than Texas has been. So Texas is playing good offense and even better defense than Xavier is. They're not shooting the ball as well, but I think when it comes down to these final games, it's also kind of like a momentum thing. So Xavier's obviously won their 2 in the tournament, but coming into the tournament, Texas was also on a 4-game winning streak before coming in. So they're just really catching fire right now. So
The stampede is on.
Yeah, and I think Xavier's not going to be able to match the physicality of Texas.
Oh, no.
I really don't. And then you have the 6th man of the year in the Big 12, Serge Jabari. I mean, come on, he's been unreal. Honestly, the reason why they beat Penn State at the end of the game, he just took over.
I'm a fan of Jabari.
Like, this team is for real, and I've seen them as a team that should be taken as a threat, like all the way through the tournament, even to Houston in the Elite Eight, if that's where you guys got Houston. But like, with how they've played last round against Penn State, I don't see why anybody, shouldn't believe that Texas can get it done and potentially make a run to the final.
Alrighty, Houston, Miami, Florida. Now, I said Miami's in a better position to beat that record of a 5 seed overall, because not only momentum, confidence, mentality, Isaiah Wong, I also think you have a better chance of beating the Cougars than you do Miami. Only because if you don't play a full game of basketball, it can come back to hurt you. Houston is a great second half team. They sometimes struggle in the first half, but
Houston is winning.
With that being said, Houston is going to win this game. Is that unanimous?
Yeah, I'm taking Houston.
For another tribute to Jeremiah Miller.
Cougars. And that's
Cougars.
Cougars. All right, now the anticipated game of today: Bama, San Diego State. The Aztecs on a roll. They beat the hot Furman. They beat the College of Charleston. A 33-4 team. Are they coming in that game?
San Diego State.
No, Charleston.
Charleston? I know.
They were like 33.
I had that upset.
No,
I did too.
They had eclipsed 30 wins. I don't know how many it was.
It was 30. I knew they had 33 wins, but nonetheless, Bama, San Diego State. To me, it's simple. I'm not going to try to overthink this one.
31-4.
Make
That was
31-4.
Charleston's record.
Alrighty, 31-4. Nonetheless, Bama wins.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, I'm also going to
Are
take
you pulling
Bama.
the same thing we just did?
What?
Talk up a 5 seed, win in,
No,
still
no,
take the
no,
1
because
seed.
here's the deal. If who would I rather play out of the 1 seeds in Alabama and Houston? It'd be Houston.
Yeah, because they're a
Like,
second half
as a
team.
1 seed, it'd be whoever.
Whoa.
As a 1 seed, I don't know who I would rather.
I don't know.
I wouldn't want to play San Diego State.
I understand the tech guys have been working on the monitors from a via separate computer while we've been talking. So I know that wasn't me, but I apologize.
Sure.
No, you're all good. But from a 1 seed perspective, I wouldn't want to play San Diego State. I think it's going to be close, but I just again like Alabama, they have the tools in the toolbox to do it. San Diego State will keep it close, but I just don't think they have that X factor to go above and beyond. They can keep it low scoring, but I don't know if they can put up enough points to win it in terms of that perspective.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. Just looking at it, obviously, I think what may not be like the most similar, but kind of similar, San Diego State and Houston in terms of like good defense, but doesn't put up a lot of points. Like looking at the two teams compared, Bama's put up roughly 82 points a game. San Diego State's trending at 72. But the defense is kind of the opposite. Bama scores 10 more, but San Diego State allows 10 less points. So I do agree. I think it's going to be very close, very even game.
Yeah.
I am going to roll with the Tide, though. Alabama's going to win this game. They're going to move on to the Elite Eight. Pretty simple.
Alabama's got that X factor. I think it's that simple. Like,
Nah.
the teams win.
After
teams
that
win,
whole hype up top.
No, teams win championships in March, but like you also need an X factor.
Alrighty, so
they have them.
Yeah,
if
they
you
do.
go
That's
back,
it.
if you go back and look at it, it's gonna as of group consensus. It's Bama Bama Creighton, Houston, Texas. Didn't realize that. It's pretty funny. University of Houston, University of Texas.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good job.
Bottom already been determined. FAU, Kansas State, UConn, Zag. Now, I had us before we came on air write down our final 4 of these teams. We're going to talk about each game, but we're not going to pick a winner. Be ready to have the papers on lockdown because we're about to whip these out. I will, again, per usual.
I kind of wish I changed one of my answers. Now, but whatever.
Do you want it? You can change it.
No. It's already sealed.
He's gonna have to make lines on this paper.
Yeah.
the
It's not
OCD,
gonna look as
yeah,
clean. I do these nice boxes.
I literally-
so you
well,
can
it's
clearly
funny.
tell what the bracket was looking like.
So, like I said before we came on air, it was literally, we were going through writing these down, and I didn't scroll down far enough, and I put a team in on my bracket, so I had to scratch out because I put two teams from the same region playing each other in the Final Four.
Oh,
This
my
is
God.
absurd.
This is.
Some would say it's a catastrophe.
It's egregious.
It's egregious. Nonetheless, okay, gentlemen,
Yes.
on the count of 3.
Wait, we're
whip
showing
out.
them now? I thought we was talking about the games first.
Oh, you're right.
This guy doesn't even know what.
I got caught up. I'm sorry.
Books.
Stick to.
Hashtag stick to.
I'm not even good at the books. Okay.
We should start that.
All right. FAU, Kansas State. I want to talk about this one first because it's honestly the most exciting game in this bottom part of the bracket, in my opinion, because of what FAU's been able to do in the tourney so far. Start talking first.
I mean, I do agree. I think this is going to be a more exciting game. Obviously, Kansas State, Tyler, you mentioned earlier, they were ranked like bottom of their conference coming in.
Yeah, they were projected to finish last in the Big 12.
So like nobody expected them to be here. Nobody expected FAU to be here. It's all about who's got the heart right now, who's willing to win it all. And on my bracket, I'll admit to it, I put Kansas State into the Final Four. But I think there's a really solid chance that FAU wins this game. And the reason why is Kansas State, looking at their points scored versus against, it's pretty dead even. They score 76.2 points per game. They allow 75.7. So they've barely been scraping by in terms of averages. Whereas you look at FAU, 78 points a game, 63.3 allowed. So like we said earlier, defense is going to play a huge part in this. I think FAU's got the defense, but I don't know, Kansas State, there's just something about this team that, like, I can't get away from not picking them.
For me, they're the Cinderella of the Cinderellas. Like, although they're a 3 seed, like, you talk about where they were at the start of the season to now. And look, I just root for this guy. Keontae Johnson, like, what happened with him at Florida? He, passed out on the floor, had a bunch of medical issues. For him to fight back and not take the insurance money from the NCAA.
What was it, like $5 million?
Yeah, $5 million. I mean, he can just sit back, put some of that money away, secure a little bit of a future, For him to go and bet on himself, to believe in a Kansas State program that was projected to finish last in its own conference, like, that is a Cinderella in itself. I mean, we saw it last night. Noel will not let this team lose. Johnson will not let this team lose. And for me, they have one of the best head coaches in the tournament right now in Jerome Tang, first-year head coach for Kansas State. He's just been unreal.
Did you see the video after the game where he went up in the stands with the student section at Kansas State?
Like,
that was
the
great.
vibes are immaculate at Kansas State, and for me, it's hard to root against them. It really is. Even with FAU and what they've been able to do, it's still very hard to root against Kansas State.
Tyler said pretty much summed up everything I had to say. I think Marquise Noel is a hard-fought player who will not let injuries stop him. Keontae Johnson, what happened was so sad, and the way he's been able to rebound, bet on himself, and push through and make an impact for this team. He surely has my respect. I don't even know him. He surely has my respect. He has my attention. I love his story because of everything that's been able to turn out of it, all the positives from it. Johnson averages the most points on this team by half a point. Johnson and Noel average just over 17 points a game, with no Quay Tomlin just over 10. I think if Kansas State is going to win this game, it's going to be either Johnson and Noel have a god-tier game or secondary lower depth guys put more points on the board. That's how you beat FAU. Because FAU already averages 3 more points a game than you do already. And FAU has kind of the same, they do have the same setup in a sense. 2 guys average over 13 points, 1 guy averages over 10, then the rest is single digits. So, but if you can get your lower level guys to put up some points, even if it's the 3 to 5 point range, that's a win. I think Kansas State has a lot to offer here. Coaching wise, another momentum, confidence thing continuing to build. I'm buying in on the Wildcats. Didn't before, I do now. So, Logan, go ahead.
I think it's pretty much been summed up. I'm judging by all of us talking about Kansas State. We've all written them in for the Final Four. So, next game, might as well just get into it since you threw it to me. UConn Gonzaga, since they technically be the other game to be played on that day. You look at UConn Gonzaga, you kind of have 2 very different teams. Gonzaga's a huge second half team. They've shown that this tournament at least, but they're on a 12-game winning streak. Gonzaga has all the momentum in their favor. UConn, though, they've been playing some really good basketball. Dominated Iona, dominated St. Mary's, dominated Arkansas. Now, give or take, maybe those may not have been the greatest teams. But Gonzaga hasn't played like incredible teams either. They played GCU. TCU gave them a run for their money. And then UCLA crapped the bed in the second half and allowed Gonzaga to pull away. I think this is a game that could go either way. But judging out the way Gonzaga's been playing, and the odds are saying it right now, UConn is favored in this game to win. On paper, they are the favorite.
Nah, I ain't buying that.
You're on the Drew Timmy train.
I'm on the Hemi train. I'm in the Hemi train.
Yeah,
sorry.
I don't know.
I'm on the Hemi train.
You said no picks, but for me,
yeah.
No.
Clearly, by the way we've interpreted, you can kind of get an example of what we're.
I didn't even say anything like that. All I said is
I'm telling me, bro. I'm telling me. Take it easy. All right, so Zaga, what? It's now 10 games with Drew Timmy, 20 plus points.
I think that's what it is.
He's like 27 years old. So.
20. Granted, he is a tad old. He's rocking the stash.
So is Spencer Bennett. here we are.
Well, seriously, Stetson not a top quarterback in the draft. He did win a national. He did win 2
He was
nationals.
elite in
Drew
college
Timmy
football.
isn't going to be a top pick in the draft.
He's not.
I mean,
But he's one of the best Zags to ever do it. Period. One of our professors, Melinda Skirvin, is a colossal would be an understatement, but I'll say colossal fan of Drew Timmy.
And just Gonzaga.
And just Gonzaga in general. She did go. Didn't she go there or
I don't know. Is Gonzaga
do work
even a
there?
real place?
Yeah,
It is. It's in. It's in Washington.
What even is a Gonzaga?
Gonzaga's in Washington. That's
I
where
heard
the
you have to
campus
take like
is.
a hot air balloon or something.
Yeah, I heard you gotta like go through this portal and stuff. Like,
Only like the
you gotta like cut through Narnia.
Go through
Go through the
Narnia.
rabbit hole and
That's
cut.
insane.
Yeah.
only the
Wow.
pure-hearted can see
Hear that?
it.
That's what I'm
They're
saying.
talking. Oh my god.
Make sure you show that to Melinda too.
Zaga, I'm gonna clip it.
Clip that.
Clip it.
Clip it and ship it.
Clip it, ship it, already sent. No, Zaga's gonna beat UConn. Yeah, UConn really they held back the Razorbacks after a huge upset over Kansas, but Zaga to me, they're kind of like Houston. They're a better second half team than they are first half, but they win these clutch games. I'd have to say at least 8 out of 10 times. I don't know. I'm personally Gonzaga is on it right now. Of the 2 teams for me.
Yeah, UConn, as I see it, they have a great offense, but they don't have like a true point guard. They like to mix up like the primary ball handler who's running the point. And for me, I feel like that can be a little bit of a problem, especially when you face better teams now with the field being at soon to be 8. So yeah, I don't know. I like Gonzaga though. Like, you want to talk about a team that can't ever live up to the expectations, can't ever get over the hump as a 1 seed all these years. The pressure's off them. I mean, they weren't even the best team in their conference in the regular season, but they went out there in the conference tournament, just obliterated St. Mary's, and then have come in here with no pressure, really no hype around them as a 3 seed, and here they are. Deja vu for UCLA last night because Suggs, I believe is his name. He hit it in the COVID March Madness.
It was back. I just saw the video. CBS.
Jenkins.
Jenkins.
It's
It was
Jenkins.
like
It's
2016 or something.
No,
like
when they
that.
beat North Carolina in the national championship.
Yeah.
It was literally like a
exactly-
pitch. You pitch back.
No, the Suggs one was different.
Suggs
Yeah, but I'm talking about
Suggs
that was
didn't have
against
court.
UCLA though. The Suggs.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
You're
you're
right.
right.
Yeah,
Losing
but
on that last
it's deja
shot.
vu for
Oh,
UCLA
okay.
again because again last night it was another buzzer beater that sent UCLA home from the Zags.
I had UCLA in the Final Four on the original bracket.
Yeah, but
I think I did.
I don't know. I just like Gonzaga more, and UConn worries me a little bit. They just don't give me the vibes of a true Final Four team and a true like contender to win the title.
Alrighty, we're gonna go to the top between Bama and Creighton. We'll start with them, and then we'll go to the University of Houston versus University of Texas. Bama takes on Creighton.
I'm taking Bama.
Roll Tide.
Elephant here. Smash, done, game, set, match.
I think the 6th seed runs out and
Yeah,
that's that.
not that. I mean, Creighton. That Alexander kid out of Creighton's their best player, but you can't win. You can't beat a whole team of men with just one guy on your team. So, Bama, ship it off. It's it. All right,
In the nation.
Longhorns versus the Cougars. Now, Texas has been in a lot of close games, and I think they'll be in a close one with Xavier. If Texas were to make it and Houston were to make it, who would you guys take?
Well, judging by the way Tyler spieled about Texas, I'm gonna say he's leaning in Texas' favor. We haven't revealed our brackets to each other at all yet, except
We literally turned
our
around.
Kansas State picks. I mean, I used a binder to go ahead and like write away from everybody so I could write on mine.
I just turn around.
Yeah.
I'm pretty wide, so people really can't see around me. But, when my sister and I were in Spanish class together, the teacher couldn't see her behind me because my collarbones are just you know what? Wake up, boy. Come on, I'm telling a good story here.
Nah, it's not a good story.
It's a great story.
You said Spanish class. It's like,
No, they almost had to break my collarbones when I was little to get me out.
that's insane.
I know, they're huge.
Wide body.
Wide body. I'm a wide body boy.
All right, so
Oversized
Cougars,
load.
Longhorns.
Cougars versus the Longhorns.
Now,
Texas.
okay.
We know where
well,
you are.
You just revealed the pick of your bracket.
I mean, he already did.
Okay.
You're not supposed to do that.
Well, I might have actually take Houston. You don't know.
Oh, yeah,
I can't
yeah.
confirm or
You're right.
deny until I show my
Hey,
paper.
you did
so.
some reverse psychology on
I
that.
guess I have to
Literally.
find out.
Literally.
I mean, just look at his game. I think Texas has been playing better basketball. I think you look at the bracket, the way Houston's games have been going. The 2 games they played went. They just haven't been playing like an insane basketball. Now they scored 81 points in their last game, which is a good sign. It shows that they can score the ball if need be. Now, as you mentioned, Tyler, they live and die by that 3 ball. I'm a huge fan of living and dying by the 3 ball, but Texas has been playing much better basketball, so it's really hard to pick between these 2 teams. If Texas does make it past Xavier, I think they really do make it a dogfight, and they ruin the chances of Nance being able to watch his Houston Cougars make that final dance and cut down the net.
In Houston.
Yeah.
For me, this is what I look at as well whenever it comes to these like final matchups. I feel like you have to look at who's been more prepared for the game. No offense to Houston or the American Conference that they come from. It's just when you look at Texas, I feel like not only are they more complete, you have the bench scoring, you have that pretty good starting 5 as well. That and they're physical, which I think helps against Houston. I think Texas is more prepared to play in an environment like this. I feel like they're ready to be on the big stage and they're ready to shine.
Kansas.
Yeah, and Kansas was a team that many put in that upper echelon. Like they were a team that were untouchable, up there with Alabama. Texas beat them twice, and that goes to show a lot. And they beat them in the Big 12 tournament to knock them out as well, and I'm pretty sure win the Big 12. So it's like
they did, I watched it.
It's like for me, Texas is more prepared for the moment when it comes down in this situation. But Houston, I mean, they're good, and when on their day when they shoot that 3, like more than 50% of the time, that thing's probably going in. That's just how
Houston
good they can
has
be.
hit. Houston's averaging about 35% from 3.
Yeah, which is absolutely
46% from the field.
Yeah, which is
Their
wow.
free
They
throw
can-
percentage is atrocious. It's 72%.
But they can shoot all over the place, and that's the problem when it comes to Houston.
Miami's shooting better over. I mean, kind of taking a pause. Miami's shooting better in every aspect of the game over Houston, but I think Houston's had better clutch moments. Defense can win championships. Houston's too clutch for me to ignore, and I'm not just saying that because I have to win the whole thing on the OG bracket. But speaking of brackets,
I have the perfect bracket.
I bet you do. I bet you do. All right, let's whip them out, boys. 3, 2, 1.
Roll Tide.
All right, we got 3 different teams, which I did not expect.
All right. So let's look at our left side first. So I have Bama coming out the
Bama.
south.
Me too.
So do
Okay. I have Kansas State coming out the east.
Agreed.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now here's where we're gonna get different, I think. Midwest, I have Texas.
I got Houston.
I have Texas as well.
After the talk, I'm not against picking Texas. I will be real, but I picked
Horns
Houston.
up. And then the West.
I got Zags.
Yeah, give me the Zags.
Give me the Huskies, baby.
No way.
Give me UConn.
No way.
UConn is winning this game. When it gets to that
Man.
point,
Nah, give them the dogs.
UConn is winning.
No, I think no
know what's
matter
gonna be
no matter how
crazy?
you split it though,
What's-
I think
what's even- hold on.
these are great Final Four games.
What's even
What's even crazier is I got UConn going to the chip.
Really?
They are beating Texas,
No
baby.
way.
Horns
No
down.
You can't say horns up in 2 minutes. Go horns down. That's not it.
That's just how the bracket
I can.
works, baby.
The only thing I'm willing to adjust is Zags beating Houston. And it's Zags being the championship. First game.
Nah, Drew Timmy's
The only
not
thing
like
I'm-
that, bro.
All right.
Drew
so
Timmy is not him.
So in the championship game, I have Bama versus Houston. You got Kansas State, Texas,
And all Big 12.
and you got UConn, Bama. So we all have we two have Bama. We have Bama, and that's the only similarity there is between us. The 2 of us have Bama in the final. So these are actually really different brackets. I wasn't expecting that. So not gonna lie, that turned out better than I thought.
Okay.
Of course, again, for the sake of everyone being able to see them, because it's crucial to see stuff. I'm on it. Don't worry. We will have pictures uploaded of all 3 of these.
Flash him up right now. Boom, bam, pow.
I don't know if I can go that
Did you
fast,
catch him that fast?
but I'll put them up. But nonetheless, guys, that I don't know. I honestly think the only thing I could change is Zag's going to the ship. That's it.
All right, So our only differences from at least the original is you have Houston over Texas. I hate to promote myself, but we need you to plead your case, Sparky. Why Houston over Texas? What's the X factor that's gonna take Houston over them? I need to know. I won't be mad because I got Houston in my original bracket.
To be fair though,
weighted
to him,
all.
when he revealed it, he said that after the talk that we just had about Houston and Texas, that he would be willing to flip his pick.
So, I said that in the beginning because
So he doesn't seem all convinced about the Houston.
I originally thought I had wrote Houston in, and when you
These
were
teams are so.
about Texas, I was like, I should have wrote Texas in.
Texas
And then
and
I
Houston are
remembered that
so
I-
similar.
Yeah.
I'm not lying.
Great minds
Texas
think
and Houston
alike.
stat-wise are literally so similar
Yeah, they are.
because they're either the same percent or like 1% better than the other. I personally.
Honestly, I'm picking Texas because Bijan Robinson goes there.
Oh my God! The only reason I was gonna make a joke about Marshall Faulk and San Diego State because Marshall Faulk's one of my favorite all-time running backs in the NFL.
According to real.
Don't steal my thing.
You know what?
That's
You didn't copyright it. I don't see no copy.
And
That's
that's
no,
it.
you
That
know
means I'm taking over
Houston-
Sports Sparky. You
Houston-
didn't copyright it.
Houston, that's fair. Houston defense is why, because both teams are clutch. Both teams offensively are somewhat similar. Defense to me, Houston. That's why I'll take Houston. Although I would be understanding. I'm an understanding guy.
Well, here's the deal, Sparky. I
don't know.
understand you flipping your pick
Yeah.
for the one round, but you
Yeah.
have them not only winning against Texas, but you have them winning another game.
Yeah, that means you'd have to change your whole entire
Yeah.
bracket.
So for me, that's a bit of a red flag. That the fact that your national
for
champ
real.
is easily flippable between
It's not-
Texas.
It's not. I didn't say it was easily flippable. I said I could understand flipping it. I didn't say I was gonna flip it.
Okay.
So I understand.
That's just me though. I'm not sure.
I think a thing to account for. Sorry, cut you off.
No.
But in this
No, it's
Auburn game, the fact Houston was losing by 10 at half, that's kind of a red flag to me because the way this Texas team's been playing, if this is the matchup that we see, Texas up by 10 at the half, I don't know if Houston's going to be able to recover from that.
You see
have to
red,
keep
I
it
see
in
green.
arm's reach.
You see red, I see green. You know why? That just shows, again, to prove my point.
What did
The
you technically
adversity-
be seeing red since you picked Houston?
I-
Oh, got him. Get got.
They get got. The camera's right there. I've walked the prank. No, so to me, I see green in this situation. Not because I'm colorblind, but because this team's so resilient.
The adversity.
Resilient adversity, and you're able to be a better defensive team than your opponent. If you have been locked down,
Listen.
Honestly,
Sparky must have gotten the script. He knows that he was just going to win it all because it's Nance's final time announcing. Kobe.
drill to 3.
But Sparky's just going off what the script writers are saying.
Really?
That was the old script, Sparky. There's a new one out now.
Their new
you know,
PDF.
look, I
It's
like
got the Longhorns, baby.
the
You went,
stat,
"Who's
though.
that? Who's
I
that?
like
Who's
the
up?
stat
Who's
that
that?"
they were losing by 10 to Auburn at half. But I think honestly that just goes to show how impressive the win against Auburn actually was because they were down by 10 and then they proceeded to go out and
they
win
had
by
50 points
almost
in
like
the
15
They
points.
scored 50 points in the second half.
Yeah, which is
Usually
insane.
that's like close to
Yeah.
how many they score in a game.
Yeah. So that for me that's just very impressive. But like I just don't think Houston is well prepared for a matchup against Texas. Like I feel like Texas is ready to perform on that stage, and the physicality factor too. Like against teams that can shoot the ball lights out, you have to be physical against them. No easy shots inside. Like you can give them the shots on the perimeter, but Houston has to hit those. That's what they have to do. And I don't know if they can do it at a consistent enough rate.
For real, let them know. Alright, do you want to attack me now for my UConn?
I don't want to attack you because you control a lot of what I'm able to do right here. So, but in a polite way, I will say I don't think UConn. I think UConn's getting too much hype for this.
Yeah.
I do think we got ourselves a fraud. Zags over UConn, confident on that one. I truly believe that's one of my most confident picks.
No, I do
besides
as well.
Bama.
I fully agree with that. I think Gonzaga, again, like, obviously pressure comes with the moments, but they're playing pressure-free basketball. Like, nobody went out there and was like, oh yeah, Gonzaga's the clear-cut favorite. You know, nobody's talking about Gonzaga like they have in the past couple of years.
Yeah, because they don't have everybody, because they all went to the
But
NBA.
here's the thing is, there's no target on their back. They're just out here playing free basketball.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And we saw that last night. Drew Timme was just out there doing Drew Timme
Besides
things.
Drew Himmy being Himmy, I mean, like, everyone's gone to the NBA and moved on with their lives. Timmy said, no, I'm here to play. And he's here to play. He's played. He's stepped up. He's shown it time and time and again.
Yeah, and I think that pressure aspect's off the shoulders because they know they're not the
Timmy,
favorite.
you can
They
tell
know
he's
that
just
they're not supposed to win it this year.
he's just out there playing
Yeah,
ball.
exactly.
I fully agree with what you're saying. Himmy is Himmy. He's beaten UConn. Zaga's beaten UConn.
I do want to say one thing though. I can't believe none of you picked Kansas State.
Yeah, no, the only reason I didn't pick
get to
Kansas.
say why I picked you.
You know what? Go ahead.
This show is ridiculous.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna leave. I'll let y'all talk.
Okay. Well, you didn't pick Kansas State anyway, so
I mean, I picked them to get out the East.
not to beat Bama.
They're not beating Bama.
Yes, they are.
Bama's
No.
Yes, they are.
Bama's
Brandon
literally-
Miller is him.
Bama's the second
Yeah,
best
but-
team in the
Oh,
country.
It's one guy. It's one guy.
Kansas State's only got one true guy.
Technically, they got two guys, but yeah, the point's still right. He's still right.
You telling me in that Kansas State game
They are the Cinderellas of the Cinderella.
they can't be there are threes.
Yeah, but you look at the adversity that they've gone through. You look at all that stuff.
I know.
And you
I
can't
know.
say that it is unbelievable the fact that they've already gotten this
Man,
far.
You know, I'm tired of UConn disrespect, man. Everybody always just be talking about the UConn women's team. The men's team is finally good for once, and everyone's just like, nah, man, they're not getting past Gonzaga.
They were good like 10 years ago.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Don't ask
10
me.
years?
10 years ago, I
Ten
wasn't
years-
thinking
10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was 11.
Okay.
10 years ago, I was eating goldfish watching SpongeBob.
Wow.
Look,
Wow.
look.
You know what? Honestly,
Look,
though, you
I
control a
want-
lot he does here. Remember
I
that.
want everybody to run this video back when UConn beats Gonzaga.
There's no shot.
This is-
I'm gonna clip it. I'm gonna
and
clip
I'm
it
almost
just in
as
case.
confident as I am in Gonzaga as I was in UNC Asheville.
I'm
I'm ready
that's
to go
money.
back down the path.
That's
I'm
money.
ready to go back
I-
down that
look,
path.
no, no,
I'm
no,
ready
no.
for heartbreak.
I'm
ready for
tired.
heartbreak.
Listen, UConn is going to win this game for the simple fact that Gonzaga only comes to play in the second half. If UConn gets out to an early lead and they're up, we could see in a case like this past UCLA game. What UCLA was up by 13 at halftime.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but the Huskies are up by 13 at halftime. They're not looking back. They can shut down Drew Timme. Drew Timme runs the team. He leads the team in
what
points,
they said.
rebounds, and assists. UCLA didn't really have a guy to match up with Drew
But
Timme,
that's what
though.
they were saying about UCLA at halftime. They're like, oh, there's no way you can't just do it through Drew Timme. And guess what they did? They did it through Drew Timme. And now they go against, no disrespect to UConn, but they go against an easier team in UConn compared to UCLA.
All right. We got less than 2 minutes left. I want both of you to be able to plug yourself correctly. Plug and clout
All I'm
yourself.
gonna plug is the Huskies,
Okay, well,
baby, because they are beating Gonzaga.
Just to make it clear, since I don't know if we all said it or not, but Texas is my national champ. That's what
Roll
I'm with.
You
Tide.
made that
Brandon Miller is him.
Texas is my national champ.
I'll do it for you because Logan's on a power trip. PYC every Wednesday mornings at 8. Every Wednesday at 8. We always plead in our case. There is a bracket section now where you can go over, see everyone in the club part where everybody ranks. There's also the NFL draft special. We do include basketball, hockey, and baseball in the draft special. 3 people each position. Very exciting stuff going on right now with Mr. Logan Lepiscopo. Also, a special congratulations to Logan Lepiscopo if he's ever paying attention to this. On earning the next year WCTV Jam position. Congratulations, Logan.
Go Huskies, baby!
You know what? I'm muting this mic. All right, so.
Hey, give me Tyler. Go Huskies, baby!
All right, Tyler Zeman, do you have anything you want to plug? Anything at all?
No.
You don't really have much.
Tyler Zeman's gonna be the producer of Woo Say
Yes, that is that. Congratulations to both these men.
Sparky is not doing anything.
Nah, I ain't nothing.
We're blocking him from every position possible next year.
Sounds about right.
We're canceling this show
All
too. No,
right.
I'm kidding.
No, I will say though, you can follow me on Twitter. Alright?
Yeah,
If you
facts.
want to follow me.
In fact, give your Twitter
on
handle. Let's go.
You can follow me on Twitter.
Nah,
Tyler,
that's
Tyler Zeman, Zeman 19.
Follow me. Mine's simple. @_Lepiscopo. LEPISCOPL. Hashtag Go Huskies.
Hashtag Saltify. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Sports with Sparky. We'll see you guys next week
You
here on WCYJ FM 99.5. The Hive.
Con.
You're done, clown. All right.
The Huskies are winning, baby!
Everybody on YouTube, thank you so much for watching and paying attention to us clowns.
Go Huskies.
We
Go Huskies, baby.
I want to make sure everyone subscribes, like, comment, give us content to say whatever you want. Let us know what's going on. I have these clowns as always with me. Wil Wilson, thanks to them.
They're
Follow me
playing
at
in a national
Spazarsky
championship.
Ethan on
I'm tired of the
Twitter,
disrespect. Drew
SPOZARSKI.
Tenney is going to end his
ETHN.
college career.
Thank you guys again. We'll see you guys next
Because
week.
Gonzaga's not going any farther.